Just give it a second. All right, now we're live on the Red app. Let's go. All right. The Ole Miss / Kiffin situation just got weird. By Matt B.
Perkins
Great. Let's
tweeted
go.
the same tweet from Lane Kiffin and said, "That was not the message you said in the meeting room. Everybody that was in there can vouch on this." Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope I'll be having a great Wednesday night. Hope I'll be having a great week. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, I thought all this Lane Kiffin news and drama going on, it was starting to wind down. But just when you think it's winding down, this happens. What is this I'm referring to? That's a great question, Timothy and Bobby. I would love to answer it. What is this
Wait,
I'm referring
so
to?
Despite the team asking me to keep coaching, I think everyone that was in that room would disagree.
Great question, Timothy and Bobby. I would love to answer.
That was not the message you said in the meeting room. Everybody that was in there can vouch on this.
It. More of his former players are calling him out. Now, some people would say this is a bad look for Lane Kiffin, and I don't blame them. But to be honest, at this point in time, and this is just the way Kiffin is, it's the vibes he gives off to me, I don't even think he cares. What I'm about to say next is not any brand new information or knowledge. Lane Kiffin, he likes being the villain. Even with his former players calling him out, I think he's going to hold that against him, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. We're going to talk all about that, but we also got to talk about Ole Miss just rehired their old offensive coordinator. If it sounds like I'm confused, it's because I am. Well, I say rehired. Technically, he didn't take another job, but why all this is so weird is because he was on the plane to Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin. Reminder, Ole Miss told Lane Kiffin, if you leave, you can't coach in the playoffs. But now they're letting this offensive coordinator come back, even though he went on the plane with them. What's going on? Come to find out, it's looking like it has a little bit to do with the playoffs, as most of you know, or you should know if you're not living under a rock. We are on the push. We are on the grind for 400,000 subscribers before the new year. We're getting closer by the day. I update the count for you guys in every single video, so if you're new to the channel, or maybe if you've been watching and not subscribed, I'm telling you, there's a bunch of you be a Grinch during the holiday season. And let me check on the community. You guys, hey Mart, will you coach Penn State? Why is that your username?
Matt's yellow teeth is crazy.
Oh, I got yellow teeth. All right, buddy. Is that what we're doing? Seriously, is that what we're doing? Miguel said, love the community. This is where I get my college football info at. Well, appreciate that, man. Thanks for being a part of it. You see, that's why I like to see a nice... Wait, whoa. What is this?
What?
Yo.
Matt
so this
B.
is
with
just
Diddy.
Not me. And this picture just never happened. What is this? How did you even make this? Is this the White Randy picture? And who is this standing next to me? All right, bro. So now I'm Gru from Despicable Me. Get out of here. No, you know what? No. We're done. We're getting to the video. Straight into it. So this takes place actually a few days ago. Before we get into the whole offensive coordinator stuff, let's talk about these players calling out, dissing, throwing some shade at Kiffin, whatever you want to call it. Caleb Odom. This was right after, what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, yeah. Lane Kiffin announced that he's leaving Ole Miss. He's going to LSU. He stated that Kiffin, he didn't address the team. He didn't say goodbye, all that stuff, and he left. Me personally, does that rub me the wrong way? Not so much, because I talked about it with Kalen DeBoer. You had Washington players tweeting out, well, Kalen DeBoer, he didn't even say goodbye to us. He just up and left. Same thing with Kiffin. This is my perspective on it. These coaches are in a time crunch. They got to let the AD know, hey, I'm leaving now. And once they leave, the school doesn't want anything to do with them. So they just tell them to get out of here ASAP. Okay, I may have exaggerated that a little bit. They're nicer about it, but you get the point. It's not like Kiffin was hanging around for 2 to 3 weeks and he didn't say goodbye to the team. It was like, okay, I'm leaving, and he's gone that night. And it's a business decision. I don't think it's anything personal. But more of the story is, no matter how you feel about it, Caleb Odom, he called him out, the former transfer from Alabama. Why all that's ironic is because Caleb Odom, he left Alabama, and I can assure you, when he entered the transfer portal, he didn't tell Kalen DeBoer goodbye. He didn't tell his teammates goodbye, but I digress. Well, now guess what happened? You had not one, but multiple players come out within the last 24 hours, quote tweet Lane Kiffin's goodbye tweet and say stuff like this. This is from Bryson Sanders, current Ole Miss player, offensive lineman too, just to give you some more context. He quoted it stating, "Despite the team asking me to keep coaching," he responded, "I think everyone that was in that room would disagree." Sanders, what are you trying to say? Because to me it looks like you were insinuating that the team did not ask Lane Kiffin to keep coaching the team throughout the playoffs. Am I reading this wrong? Maybe I am, but that's how it looks to me. Another offensive lineman for Ole Miss, Jaden Williams, quote tweeted that and said, "Let them know. Every single person." Perkins quote tweeted the same tweet from Lane Kiffin and said, "That was not the message you said in the meeting room. Everybody that was in there can vouch on this." This has went mega viral within the past day or so. It's got over, wow, this one has 8 million views. That is a ton of views on a college football post on Twitter. You don't got to be the
Definitely
sharpest
went viral.
tool in the shed to figure out. They are stating that Lane Kiffin, he's lying in his message you're looking at right here. Am I shocked about this? No, absolutely not. Do I believe the players? Yes, 110%. I mean, guys, come on. As much as I love Lane Kiffin, and as good as a coach I think he is, and he's getting better and better and better by the week, by the year, I wouldn't put it past him to lie in a Twitter post. Would you? Let me know in the comment section. It's Lane Kiffin. Nobody cares about their public image more in the college football coaching industry than, guess who? Lane Kiffin. I mean this with all due respect. You know what he acts like? A high school girl. He loves attention. He craves it. He can't get enough of it. And he is always going to try to make himself...
I mean, you could argue that some grown women still love attention. I'm just saying.
Look great in any and every situation, even if he is the bad guy. And that's why I really don't like calling him a villain, because he's a phony villain. He don't actually like being hated. He just acts like it, if that makes sense. Real villains enjoy the hate. They relish it. Kiffin's more of an internet troll, and he likes getting under people's skin. At the same time, he wants to be liked. It's a weird dynamic. He's an interesting cat when you break it down, but we already know this. Getting back to the focal point, yeah, you got multiple players calling him out, saying, "Nah, that's not the message you said in the meeting room, and no, we didn't really care for you to stay and be the head coach throughout the playoffs." Like they say, there's two sides to every story. If I had to give you my best educated guess, it's just purely a guess. Who do I think's in the right here? Who do I believe? It's definitely got to be the players. Here's where things get a little wishy-washy, because these players, they haven't said anything past the messages I've showed you up until this point. They haven't actually said what really went down. And I'm not even going to try to sit up here and try to speculate what went down in that locker room, because that's not what I do. I like to present y'all with facts, information, and then give you my 2 cents on it. Well, this is all we got. Here's the last thing I'm going to say about this, and we'll get a move on. Kiffin isn't historically known for being, quote-unquote, good at, ironically enough, goodbyes. I knew eventually one day down the road he would leave Ole Miss because there's better jobs out there. No disrespect to Ole Miss fans, that's just reality. So if he were to leave to take, in this case an example, an LSU job or the Bama job, that's the job he really wants, whenever he did leave, it wasn't going to be pretty. Do you remember what happened at Tennessee? He's just bad at these things. An ace is an ace, a spade is a spade. Let's call it for what it is. And I'm not shocked about any of this information coming out. But here's what did shock me, and it threw me for a loop. So the breaking news came out yesterday, and I was like, whoa. Hold up, Timothy and Bobby, when I got the update. What? I had to do a double take. You ever see something on your phone, you glance at it and look away, and then you're like, wait a minute, what did I just look at? I did the same thing here. I'm going to read this off word for word so there's not any confusion, and I'll go over it a couple times because it can be confusing. Breaking. Charlie Wise is returning to Ole Miss as offensive coordinator to coach the playoffs, the school announced. Wise boarded a plane to Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin on Sunday. Read it and weep. I'll leave it up on the screen so you can continue to read it. The guy who flew on the plane with Kiffin to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the press conference is being brought back to Ole Miss to coach in the playoffs. Yeah, if you were keeping up with this situation as closely as we're on the channel, you would know how strange this is, because Ole Miss was very adamant on, no, Kiffin, if you leave our program, you cannot just accept a job at LSU and coach the remainder of the year at Ole Miss. You can't do that. That ain't going to fly. Do I blame Ole Miss for doing that? Absolutely not. For obvious reasons, we've already talked about that plenty enough. You got a lot of people saying stuff like this. Fair arguments. So Lane Kiffin could not coach the team in the playoffs because he took another job, but the offensive coordinator followed him and took the LSU job, but he can go back.
Oh, David Montgomery scored. Let's go. Knuckles. 16-6. Detroit. Sorry for interrupting, but I'm just checking on the game.
back and coach the offense in the playoffs? Laughable. And that got over 1,000 likes. I get why some people may be upset about this, but I understand it from Ole Miss's perspective. It's not that Lane Kiffin left, it's how he left, how he went about all of this. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. You also don't want a head coach that is now going to be coaching a rival in the same conference as you, sticking around as a head coach for signing day and poaching recruits that are supposed to be coming to Ole Miss to go to LSU, because that's what would be happening. I try my best to dumb these situations down. I can't think of another way to dumb it down more than what I have up until this point. It just wouldn't make any sense to have Lane Kiffin, the new head coach at LSU, remaining as your head coach at Ole Miss. Offensive coordinator, a little different situation and a different scenario. But there's more to this. Here's what Lane Kiffin had to say about all of it, and I quote, "With the playoff committee releasing updated rankings tonight, I wanted it to be known that after a conversation with LSU, we are allowing Charlie to return to Ole Miss to coach the team during the playoffs. I've already made the committee aware of this, and I'm hopeful this decision will allow Ole Miss to receive the highest ranking possible because these great players are very deserving of that. I'm excited that Charlie will be back to help coach the greatest team in the history of Ole Miss." There you have it. Very mature words from the Lane-trained Kiffinator himself. Let me know, what do y'all think about that? Low-key a classy move by the Kiffinator, because Kiffin easily could have been pissed off about how they wouldn't let him be the head coach and said, "Nah, guess what? I'm taking my offensive coordinator with me, and he's not going to help you in the playoffs." He could have done that, and I wouldn't have blamed the guy. But as bad as this thing ended at Ole Miss, he does have a soft spot. I'm not going to say for Ole Miss, but for this team. So good on Kiffin. As far as it goes for Ole Miss in the playoffs, I don't want to say it's not looking good for you. I think you're going to be A-okay. You do got Pete Golden running the show. That's a different video for a different day. Don't even get me started on him. Not a Pete Golden fan. I was beyond happy when he left Alabama. I was like, please take him. And what was so crazy is Ole Miss fans like, "Oh, we stole him from you." Sure, I guess, but he was awful at Alabama. Not a Pete Golden fan. I don't know what people see in him. He's just bad at his job. He's not a good defensive coordinator. I tell you what, I don't know who they're going to play, but everybody and their mom is going to be tuned into the Ole Miss football game, and I can't speak for you, but I'm definitely rooting for them. It's like they're an underdog now.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Especially, they're SEC team, so I'll always root for the SEC teams in the playoffs for sure, 100%.
Things I could say, win it off here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on us down below. But
all right, that's it. All right, I'll be right back. I need to get some water. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Okay.
Ladies and
All right, Penn State just screwed up big time. Let's see what happened to the Nittany Lions.
gentlemen, boys and girls, you want to talk about being left out to dry? Oh, there's no doubt about it in my mind. This program is donezo's bare minimum for the next screw themselves over. More than what Penn State just did. This video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, I don't know how to ease into this. I'm just going to come out and say it. Penn State just screwed themselves over. I feel like I say this every other week on the channel. I promise you, I'm not trying to gas the situation up. I'm not trying to overhype it. I've never seen something like this happen in the college football world. Never. And it goes back to this. I don't feel bad for them because guess what? They did it to themselves. We're going to talk all about that. We also have some news to go over involving Vanderbilt potentially playing a game this weekend. Yeah, that's right. You heard me correctly. So you know how Vanderbilt's not going to make the playoff, but they feel like they're deserving? They're trying to schedule an exhibition, or a better way of saying it, a showcase with another team that's on the fringe of making it. Wild stuff, man, wild stuff. And by the way, we are now officially less than 30. Check out
Get him
the
to the
community.
400K.
Go to Penn State AD/mascot Nittany Lion to discuss potentially being head coach and snacking on some. Is that the Big Cheese? Or the hate they really and just in the top 5, but first things first. What in the world is going on with Vanderbilt? Can y'all just not accept you're not getting in this playoff? Look, I feel bad for you. I do. But don't be that guy. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Do not be that guy. This is not a joke. This is dead serious. I'm going to read this off word for word. Clark Lee said yesterday he told his team to have their bags packed in case the team wanted to play this Saturday, and that is true of today. He said he'd prepare his team to play in 2 days if he called, whoa. What am I reading? If called to. My apologies. The person who tweeted that out is a beat reporter for Vanderbilt, so I'd say she is a reputable source. When everyone else, they caught wind of this, it just blew up like gasoline on a fire. Everybody got to talking about it. Everybody started saying, man, is there any validity to this? Come to find out, there is. It got so big that Pete Thamel even weighed in on it only a few hours ago. Let me read this off. Sources. Number 14, Vanderbilt explored the possibility of playing an exempt 13th game this weekend as a way to give one final showcase for the CFP, which is, I'm just saying that short for the college football playoff. There was interest from the team, university officials, the athletic department, and coaching staff. Key words in that, there's just interest from Vanderbilt. Nowhere in this, what would you call it, not sentence, but nowhere in this post does it say there's interest from other teams like Texas, Miami, Notre Dame, whoever. But here's the most important part about all this, and it's all you need to know if you have any questions. Pete Thamel posted under that, ultimately, the operational and legislative requirements along with last-minute scheduling constraints could not support the game. In other terms, to dumb this down, it's not happening, Chief. Now, did I think there was a possibility of this happening? I gotta keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you. Heck to the no, 0% chance, because I know what goes into scheduling a game. Do some of y'all understand why we schedule games 10 years in advance? Because it's hard to do. It's not an easy thing to do. This isn't the equivalent of calling your boys and saying, hey, you want to go play some pickup basketball at the park? No. It's not like that. So many things that go into it I don't even want to divulge into. But I knew you couldn't schedule a game within, what would this be, 4 to 5 days? And that's just when they started mentioning it. Nobody really got to talk about this until Wednesday. Cool idea, but even if you schedule this showcase game, let's say, hypothetically speaking, for the sake of this video, it somehow happened. We'll say that Vanderbilt, they've played Texas again. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but even if you win that game, you're not getting in. I know Vanderbilt's new to all this, but come on, man. I don't want to say it's a bad look, but I'll leave you with this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. You don't see any other team that's competing for that last spot trying to do something like this. It's for one reason only. They know how dumb all this looks and sounds. I could talk about that for 5 more minutes, but we gotta get to move on to the main topic, the main encore, main reason you probably clicked onto this video. What in the world? You gotta sigh when talking about this. Is going on with the Penn State Nittany Lions. Well, I tell you this much, partner. I thought it was bad for Penn State yesterday, but somehow, some way, it didn't just get kind of worse. No, it got 10 times worse. This is like when the rabbit has the gun. You want to talk about things doing a 180? I don't even know if that does any justice. I've been covering college football for a very long time. I've never seen a program screw themselves over more than what Penn State just did. To get into this story, grab you a nice little popcorn, get you a nice little snack, a meal. Hey, Bobby, are you eating Chick-fil-A? Huh, that's a good choice. I can't fault you. Well, get your Polynesian
Chick-fil-A.
sauce ready. Get your ranch sauce ready for this one. This all started
Ranch
after
sauce. Chick-fil-A doesn't have ranch.
week 6. What happened in week 6? I know it feels like it was forever ago. That's a great question, my friend. I'll let answer it. That is when Penn State fired their head coach, or former head coach, James Franklin. Remember it like it was yesterday. Penn State dropped their 3rd straight game. They lost to Oregon in double overtime. They lost to UCLA. Then they lost to Northwestern by 1 singular point. Penn State said, you know what? We've had enough. Yeah, he's done okay here. Yeah, we went to a playoff last year. He wins 9 to 10 games every single season. But it's not enough. He can't win the big one. We've talked about that plenty enough. I'm not going to give you a whole summary on my opinion on the James Franklin getting booted by Penn State situation because, like I said, we already did that. And I don't think things would have been great with keeping him around, but here's what I can assure you of. It wouldn't have turned out this way. It couldn't have went this bad. As bad as things were looking for Penn State, even with the 3-game losing streak, James Franklin, he would have patched together a decent season. They would have finished 8-4, 7-5, played in a bowl game, and then you could have had all the hype and expectations heading into next year. Recruiting class would have been A-okay. It was just a bad season, all in all, and those happen. But instead of going through all that pain and turmoil, Penn State said, nah, we're done with this. We don't want to do that. We're tired of James Franklin. We're moving on. So we're firing him. They gave him the boot right after the Northwestern game. Some people thought they jumped the gun on this and thought it was too early. But the whole point, and I can't emphasize this enough, if you don't listen to a single other part of this video, please listen to this one. The whole point of Penn State firing Franklin as early as they did, because let me remind some of y'all, these teams that have already hired new head coaches, like Auburn, like Florida, like LSU, they fired their head coach after Penn State. So like I was saying, do you know what the whole point of Penn State firing James Franklin as early as they did was? So they could get a new head coach and they could start recruiting early as possible. Faster than all these other schools that are about to fire their head coach. They knew this season was over. They weren't trying to salvage this year. They were trying to get ready for 2026, 2027, and so on, so on. They're worried about the bigger picture, the 5 to 10 year plan, and it makes sense. At least on paper it does. So I don't think firing James Franklin, when they did, was that bad of a decision. That's what everyone doesn't understand. The amount of people in my everyday life, friends, guys I golf with, just people in general that come up to me and ask me, Matt, why do they fire all these head coaches so early? I remember back in the day, they never would fire a head coach before Thanksgiving, but now everyone gets fired before then. It's because of the calendar. It's because of recruiting. I'm sure you've heard somebody in your life say, man, back in the day, they let a head coach finish the year out, but now they get rid of them before the halfway point. Next time you hear your grandpa or somebody say that, tell them what I'm telling you right now. It's because of the calendar. It's because of recruiting. Trust me when I say this. When a school is already talking about firing a head coach, they've already given up on that season. They don't care. But what wound up happening for Penn State? The first week went by, didn't hear anything. Not too big of a deal. But then you look up, 1 week turns into 2 weeks, 2 weeks turns into 4 weeks. Next thing you know, we are at the end of the regular season, and they still don't have a head coach. But more importantly, yesterday was signing day. You were heading into signing day, and you didn't have a head coach. Do some of y'all understand how...
That's tough. That's tough. Going to National Signing Day with no head coach.
massive of a deal that is? I know I'm a professional overreactor. It's what I do. But that is a big... and I mean a big problem. Let me ask you a question. If you were a 4- or 5-star recruit and Penn State was on your radar, would you even be considering them or interested in them if they don't have a head coach? You don't even know who you're going to play for. Let me clarify on some things. Penn State did not intend on it being this way, not even to the slightest. They wanted...
Yeah, like why? I mean, as a 4- or 5-star recruit, why would you go to Penn State? I mean, unless it's like your, unless it's that kid's, dream school, or he supported Penn State when he was as a kid. I mean, well, when he was younger. Other than that, it wouldn't make any sense to just join Penn State.
They have a head coach weeks ago. But what happened? They thought they were going to get a Matt Rule or Cincinnati. Then out of nowhere, those guys sign extensions. So
they would never get in Cincinnati. No way. Why would Cincinnati leave Indiana?
They're not coming to Penn State. Who are the next candidates? Eli Drinkowitz. He signs an extension at Missouri. Jeff Brom signs an extension at Louisville. And the list goes on and on and on. Every single head coach that they brought up, as soon as it got mentioned that they may even be potentially leaving, their current school gave them an extension. Then most recently, we covered this yesterday, Penn State was like, well, crap, man. Let's go after BYU's head coach. I mean, they're just throwing stuff at a wall, hoping it sticks. Then what happens? Crumble Cookie goes band for band with Penn State and outbids them. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you want to talk about being left out to dry? Oh, there's no doubt about it in my mind. This program is donezo's bare minimum for the next 3 years. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the GOAT, Nick Saban. You don't have dudes, you're not even just going to win game. You're not going to compete. You got to have dudes. Do you know how many recruits Penn State got yesterday? 2. Yeah,
2
you heard me correctly.
recruits. Only 2. That is abysmal. That is horrible. That is disgusting. Only two recruits. Oh man, they are cooked. Penn State is cooked.
1 + 1. They got 2. I can't even laugh at it. It's hard to fathom.
Yeah,
do you know where they
sad.
rank out of 136 FBS teams in recruiting?
And not San Diego. South Dakota State has way more recruits than Penn State. West Georgia has more commits than Penn State. Towson, I never heard of that college. I never heard of that college at all. Towson has more recruits than Penn State.
136. Let me say it again. Penn State is 136 out of 136 when it comes to recruiting. Dead last. Not only are they dead last in the FBS, they're behind some FCS teams. You want to know who's currently out recruiting Penn State, the mighty Nittany Lions? South Dakota State, McNeese, West Georgia. Didn't even know that was a real place. Townsend. Yes, that sounds like a person's name.
Yeah, that sounds like a person's last name. Like, I have never heard of that college at all. And they have more commits than Penn State. Sad. That is just absolutely sad.
UAB, North Dakota State, Columbia. You can't make this up. North Texas, Montana, Akron, Montana State, Ball State, Sam Houston. The list goes on and on. They're dead last. It's an absolute shame, man, an absolute shame. I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about this. Many more things I could say. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this down below. But
Man, I feel horrible. I feel terrible for the Penn State fans. Man, it must be rough being a Penn State fan right now. Oh, man, that's horrible. Man, I feel sorry for the Penn State fans. I feel sorry for them, man. I really do. All right. Prediction for Penn State versus Indiana. Let's go. I said Penn State. Ohio State and Indiana.
No. Hold up, Timothy and Bobby. I know what you were about to say. Not little bro, but big bro State versus the Indiana Hoosiers preview. It doesn't get too much better than this, folks. We got number 1 versus number 2. I've had so many of you guys asking me on Twitter and in the YouTube comment section, yo, Matt, who do you have in this game? And the one thing I've taken notice of, all the Ohio State fans out there, they've been feeling themselves and they think they're unbeatable. Now, I'm not saying I blame Ohio State fans because, to be honest with y'all, they do look unbeatable, but here's my proposal to y'all. Put your money where your mouth is. Check out Kalshi. It is the largest prediction market in the United States where you can trade it right on. I'll get you some extra. They got 2 with that. Teams are not undefeated. You may have one undefeated team, that's normal, but not two. For example, with the Alabama and Georgia preview, you can point to, hey, Alabama's been shaky this year. They got 2 losses. On the flip side for Georgia, you can say, hey, they've been shaky as well too. They have 1 loss. But with Ohio State and Indiana, they haven't even been playing in close games this year like Alabama and Georgia. I mean, you want to talk about 2 completely different previews and games? Look no farther than the SEC Championship and the Big Ten Championship. Everybody looks at Alabama and go, oh yeah, they played so many close games, but Georgia has had 4 come-behind victories this year in the second half alone. And I'm not trying to knock Georgia or Alabama. There's nothing wrong with struggling and still walking out there with a win, because if anything, that's a good argument. It means you got some resiliency about you. You're battle tested. But for Ohio State and Indiana, can you really say they're battle tested outside of maybe at max for both teams 1 to 2 games this year? The closest game for Ohio State this season was the first game of the year against Texas. And if you watch that game like myself, you know dang well that wasn't even a close ball game. And I mean that with all due respect. Ohio State dominated the Longhorns from start to finish. That game was never in doubt. Sure, Texas made it close to the end, but that game wasn't as close as the score indicates. Outside of that, it has been nothing but sunshine and rainbows for Big Bro State. This was an impressive win to me. They went into Washington's home stadium, who had the longest home winning streak in college football, and handled them like it was nothing. They then beat the crap out of Minnesota. They beat Illinois. Why is that important? Because I picked Illinois to pull off that upset. Don't want to talk about it. Destroyed Wisconsin, destroyed Penn State, destroyed Purdue, destroyed UCLA, annihilated Rutgers, and they handled Michigan. To say it's been easy pickings for Big Bro State might be understating it. It's been a walk in the park, and as a fan, it's been a stress-free regular season. As a Bama fan, I can't relate. On the flip side for the Indiana Hoosiers, I wouldn't say it's been as easy as it's been for Ohio State, but it hasn't been too difficult. I had a couple close games at Iowa. I mean, you can consider the Oregon one close, but not really to me. They'd be about double digits at home, and Mendoza gifted them a pick 6. Most recently, you had the one with Penn State. They got fortunate to win that. Then they cruised against Wisconsin and Purdue. I think that's enough talk about how they got to this point. Let's talk about the matchup itself. I'm just going to come out and say it. Let's get all this out the way. Who has the much better team? Who has the more talented team? Duh, obviously, you know who I'm about to say next. Ohio State. I don't want to pander to you guys. I don't want to act like Indiana is as talented and as gifted as the Ohio State players, because they are not. Does that mean Indiana can't win this game? Heck to a no. There's a reason we play the football games. Let me remind you, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. That wasn't 20 years ago. It was last year. I'm a diehard college football fan. I cover this, edit videos. I mean, it is my entire life.
It's college football, so, anything can happen, obviously. If you know anything about college football, anything can happen.
And I couldn't even name 5 Northern Illinois players right now. You know where Indiana's going to make up for the lack of talent compared to Ohio State? And quarterback play, and also how their players have been developed by their great head coach, Curt Cinetti. Shouting him. To say he's been doing a magnificent job would be severely understating it. Not that it matters, not that Cinetti's goal in life is to earn Matt B. Great's respect, some random dude in the man cave making YouTube videos. But I'm here to tell you, he has earned my respect. Not given, no, earned it. He is a really good head coach. I can't put him in that great category, but I don't mind putting him in that really good category. And the one thing I love about him, it doesn't matter where he goes or where he's been. Look at his track history. He wins. You know what I'm about to say next, right? Winners win, losers lose. Signature quote and phrase on the channel. Been saying it ever since we started, 2015, 2016. It is a principle I live my life by. Winners win, losers lose. Somehow, some way, winners are always going to find a way to win, and vice versa. Somehow, some way in this life, losers are always going to find a way to lose. It's in their DNA. Cinetti has the winning gene. When I looked at this Indiana team last year, I was like, yeah, they're having a decent season, but they don't have a top 25 win. It's a fluky Cinderella run. But then I saw
I had the same opinion as Matt last year. Like, they're doing well, but they didn't beat anybody, and they made it to the playoffs. Yeah, I pretty much had the same opinion as Matt.
What they did this year and what they're continuing to do, I was like, nope. This isn't a fluke. They're legit. It's similar to Vanderbilt. You know how Vanderbilt was decent last year? They upset Alabama. Had a couple upsets, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, look at Vanderbilt. Good for the nerds. And then they bounce back this year, and they're even better. Same thing with Indiana. I can't harp on this enough. Everybody and their mom was going to point to, especially SEC fans. I get it. Well, look at who they're playing, Matt. They're playing bums in the Big Ten. Trust me. Nobody ridicules the Big Ten, the lower half of it, more than me, myself, and I. The bottom half of the Big Ten is awful. But with that being said, I think there's something to be said about taking care of business and winning all their games by 30 or 40 points. So I can sit up here for the next 10 minutes and rant and rave about Ohio State, how great they look, how they've dominated everybody. Well, so has Indiana. Everybody talks about Julian Sayin, but are we even certain that he's the best quarterback in this game? There's 2 Heisman contenders going at it, and some would argue and say that this is going to determine who wins the Heisman Trophy. I'm not mad about that. I haven't formulated my top 5 quite just yet, but I would say these guys are probably 1 and 2. It's 1A, 1B. Mendoza, Julian Sayin, whoever plays better, and whoever wins this game, they're going to be the front runner. I'm not really going to tell you who Jeremiah Smith is and Carnell Tate because, come on, if you don't know who those guys are, I can't help you out. Ohio State is similar to Alabama, wide receiver university. They have elite and supreme talent everywhere. But I'd say the unsung hero of this Big Bro State team is Bo Jackson. Man,
Yeah, Bo Jackson.
he is unreal.
Dude, he was running the ball in the Michigan game. He was running the ball. That's all I have to say.
Freshman,
Like, he was running.
by the way. Freshman. Are you kidding me? You want to talk about a beast, look no farther than him. But one of the more underrated players heading into this matchup is Omar Cooper Jr. Keep your eyes on him. He's going to be my X factor. I wouldn't say he's too far behind an individual like Carnell Tate, and I love Tate. So we've established that both teams, they have great skill position play. Wide receivers, running backs, and 2 quarterbacks competing for the Heisman Trophy. Fairly equal there. I think we can agree on that. But here is where I think the difference starts to kick in this ball game. The line of scrimmage. Ohio State won the national championship last year. Much respect and credit to them. That was a heck of a run, one of the best playoff runs you may ever see. But I'm here to tell you that this year's team is 2 times better than last year's team, and they are way more physical, and they're tougher. If you want to take that as me throwing shade at last year's team, I don't even mind it. I'm just here to tell you, last year's team, they weren't tough. This year's team is tough. I saw that Ohio State front 7 last year on both sides of the ball get pushed around in 5 or 6 different games. But this year's team, and it's why I'm so high on them, I haven't seen them get pushed around at all. And it's not even like, oh, they're just holding their ground. They are becoming the bully. You want to know why they destroyed Michigan this year? Because they took the approach of how Michigan beat them the last 4 years. Control the line of scrimmage. Dominate, dominate, dominate. That's what they did. That's what they've done all year long. Why has it been so easy for Julian Sayin this year? Why does it feel like, it's not really a legit Heisman run because he's not having to carry his team and win all these games? Because Ohio State, they can just run the ball almost every single play. The throwing lanes are wide, and I'm talking about wide open. In previous years, it hasn't been that way because our teams know they're going to not run the ball, my apologies, but throw the ball. But now that you got a good run and pass balance, good luck. That's all I have to say. Good luck. What you saw happen against Michigan is going to happen in this game. It's pick your poison. If you don't know what I'm referring to, Michigan couldn't stack the box because you can't guard Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate one-on-one. Julian Sayin and Brian Hartline were great at identifying the coverage and went, okay, there's only 4 to 5 in the box. We're going to run it up the middle. And this year, in previous years it didn't happen, but this year Ohio State and Bo Jackson was getting 6, 7, 8 yards per pop. And when you can average 5 yards per carry, the defense is like, well, dang, we got to put more guys in there. So what happened then? You know what I'm about to say next. One-on-one with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. It's GG's from that point on. To dumb this down, I don't try to get all too nerdy and break down the film because I know most of you don't care about all that. When Michigan tried to stop the run, the passing game opened. And when they was like, all right, we can't cover these guys one-on-one, the running lane's open. Same thing's going to happen in this game. Same thing. So, Matt, are you trying to tell me the only way Indiana can slow down or stop this Ohio State offense is if Ohio State stops themselves? Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. I'm glad you're catching along here. The only team that can beat Ohio State in this game
Is Ohio State.
If you're sitting there going, Matt, no, you're overhyping them. I think Indiana can pull off the upset. Well, like I say, put your money where your mouth is. And the good news, if you want to pick Indiana in this game, on Kalshi, if you put $100 in, Ohio State, I noticed in this game, but I got to go with Big Bro State. Give me Ohio State. We'll say 31 for the Buckeyes. Indiana, 20. 31.
Yeah, I got Ohio State winning as well. I have them winning. I think Indiana, they'll definitely put up a fight. You know, Fernando Mendoza, he will make some plays. I I really believe that he will make some plays. But I think Ohio State they're just going to be too much for Indiana. They will be too much for Indiana, and I got to go with them. All right, Georgia, prediction for Georgia and Alabama.
It's time for one of the most highly requested and highly anticipated videos on the channel. It is time for the Alabama versus Georgia Bulldogs preview/prediction video. I think it goes on being said, not only am I excited and hyped up for this game, but you guys are as well. This is what we live for as college football fans, but to be more specific, SEC fans, and to be even more specific on the specific, Alabama and Georgia fans. This is the game in college football the past 5 to 6 years. Georgia and Alabama, it's must-see TV. You gotta watch it. You got not just one, but two of the best programs in the past 10 years going at it head-to-head. It doesn't get any better than this. I can't label this as a revenge game for the Georgia Bulldogs, just due to this one reason alone. Georgia fans have been talking about getting revenge, quote-unquote, on Alabama for 10 plus years. And it has never happened. Alabama, listen to this fun fact for you, has beat Georgia in 10 of the last 11 matchups. Most recently beat Georgia at night. I'm not trying to joke when I say this, and I mean it in a respectful way. I've even seen Georgia fans say this. Alabama owns Georgia. It is what it is. They have some mental fortitude over these guys. It is one of the most bizarre things in all of college football. Alabama can look mediocre the entire season, but when they play Georgia, they turn into the 1989 San Francisco 49ers. On the flip side for Georgia, they can dominate everybody in college football, and they have dominated everybody in college football the past 5 years, but when they play Alabama, they forget how to play.
It's a whole different story.
It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. And what would lead me to believe that any of that's going to change in this ball game? Let me throw this in there before we go any farther. I've had a ton of Georgia fans tweeting at me saying, Matt, who are you picking in this game, brother? I'm picking Georgia. They look way better than Alabama, and I'm not going to disagree with that statement. And some Georgia fans have been, dare I say, condescending and very confident in talking about their team. Well, here's my rebuttal to all the Georgia fans and the Alabama haters. Put your money where your mouth is. Check out sporting events going on this weekend. The best part about it is you are trading against real life people.
We do not care.
To $10 subscription in the game at hand. We could talk about what has led us up until this point. Alabama, they've struggled really ever since the Georgia game. They've showed some flashes of greatness, but it hasn't been consistent, not like the Wisconsin and Georgia game. On the flip side of it for the Bulldogs, has there been a better team in the country than Georgia since the Bama game? I don't think so. You could argue Ohio State or even Indiana. I'm not too opposed to that, but outside those two teams, that's it. Georgia's gotten better and better every single week. Alabama, not so much. I wouldn't say Alabama's getting worse. It's more so of they've stayed stagnant. I think Alabama fans would agree with me when I say this. Alabama is not playing up to their potential, and they can do much better. I think your casual Georgia or Alabama fan is heading into this matchup going, Alabama struggled with South Carolina, struggled with LSU, lost to Oklahoma at home, struggled with Auburn. Then you got Georgia who's just clicking on all cylinders. This is an easy one, Matty boy. I got to roll with the Bulldogs. But like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. I don't think it's that simple. I am slowly but surely starting to change my outlook on the Georgia-Alabama, I'm going to say it, rival matchup. This is a rival game. I know it's not historically been a rival game, but it is a rival game. Now, it's reminded me of the Cleveland, the Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors when they had LeBron.
Cleveland Cavs and Golden State Warriors. I remember those days, man. Looking back on it, we took it for granted. I think that's how you say it. I don't know if that's... I think that's how the saying goes. Took it for granted. Never mind.
Steph Curry going at it felt like for 3 to 4 straight seasons. What was funny is I saw someone say, dang, they really split up the East and West divisions in the SEC because they got tired of Alabama and Georgia playing each other in the conference championship. Come to find out, they're still playing each other this year with no divisions. It's funny how all that works, but like they say, the cream is always going to rise to the top. When you look at the past 2 years, these have been unequivocally the 2 best teams in the SEC, and it's not even close. I share that with you to say this. Since I am starting to view this as a rival game, you know what that means. Like we talk about with Alabama and Auburn, or even with Georgia and Auburn. You can throw the record out the window. It's a rival game. It's going to be close regardless. Same thing here. Sure, Alabama, they haven't looked too hot. I'm not going to act like they've been great the past few weeks. They haven't been. They've been struggling. Granted, they're winning games, but they've been in so many one-score games this year, I can't even keep up with them. Let's just address the elephant in the room while we're at it. Georgia has looked like, and they do look like, the much better team than Alabama. That is my analysis on the Georgia Bulldogs compared to Alabama heading into this game. Who has the better team? And I stated this heading into Athens, Georgia. I think it's the Georgia Bulldogs. Who has the better coach? Well, since Kirby Smart has multiple championships, I think you got to give the edge to him there as well. Who has the better quarterback? After the Alabama-Georgia game, we thought it was Ty Simpson, but now, no, I think it's Gunnar Stockton. You also got to take into account Alabama is severely banged up heading into this matchup. Jam Miller has been hurt the entire season. It finally looked like he was healthy against Auburn. He was running like a maniac. He gets hurt in that one. So even if he plays against Georgia, he's going to be banged up. Not good news for Bama and Georgia fans. That is good news for you. Although you don't like to see injuries, Jam Miller has just been carving up Georgia on those wheel routes. Outside of that, LT Overton, one of Alabama's best linemen on the defensive side of the ball, he's out. Alabama is down not one, but 2 of their tight ends, Cuevas and Danny Lewis. That hurts them. Cuevas has been an unsung hero for Alabama this year. Kind of sounds like it the more
they're going to need Cuevas back. Yeah, at some point. They need Cuevas back.
I say this, but let me just clarify. I'm not making excuses for Alabama. This is reality. You got an Alabama team who is literally limping into the SEC championship compared to a Georgia team who is, I'd say, relatively healthy, and they're hitting their strides. We haven't even got into this too much. Ryan Williams, he is nowhere to be found. Seems like he's not really involved with the offense, which I don't think hurts Alabama too much because they have so many weapons at the wide receiver position. Last week alone, Isaiah Horton had not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. Alabama's fine at the wide receiver position. Also got Jeremy Bernard. Offensive line for Bama, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. They can't pick up a blitz to save their life, and Ty Simpson, he can't get rid of the ball when a blitz is coming. Normally, it results in a fumble. With Georgia, you got a quarterback who has been great second half of the season. You got an O-line who has been, I'll give them good on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll give them a 6.5. Running backs, they look just as good as they looked in the Bama game. Let me remind some people, Georgia was dominating Alabama when it comes to running the ball in the first matchup this year. Defense for Georgia is still a little shaky to me. They're questionable, but they are getting better. But I'm content with the Georgia defense. I think they're good enough to win a championship this year. So on paper, with everything I've said up until this point, Georgia, in my humble opinion, is the overwhelming favorite in this game. And it's one of the few times I've ever felt like heading into an Alabama-Georgia game, Georgia is just, I don't want to say way better, but they are just better than Alabama. Normally it's a coin toss, but there's 3 matchups in particular where I felt like Georgia was just better than Alabama as a team. The first game this year, this game we're heading into now, and also 2 years ago in the championship game against Carson Beck, where Alabama made the playoff after they won that one. Alabama had no business beating Georgia in 2023. That Bama team was not that good. I'm talking about when Jalen Miller was the quarterback.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that. That was crazy when Bama beat Georgia back in 2023. Bama had no business winning that game. On paper, like, Georgia was just, I think they were just way better. Way better. Dak Prescott looks like he threw an interception and he ran it. He threw a pick 6. Oh, George Pickens dropped the ball. Well, the ball hit George Pickens and it was an interception. Yep, Cowboys are struggling, man. All right, but anyways, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I was surprised, and I did want Bama to win. I wanted Bama to win, and obviously they did. They made it to the playoffs, and and that was prime Jalen Milroe right there. That was Milroe at his best, back in 2023.
Auburn on the 4th and 31, and then they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. Now, I thought that Georgia team was way better than Bama. But like they say, there's a reason we play the games. And fortunately enough for Alabama, you get to play this game. Because if I was just grading on paper, I'm saying, yeah, move Georgia along here with an easy dub ski. Why this is such a tricky prediction is because of this right here. It's Alabama. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. They turn into the 1989 San Francisco 49ers when they play Georgia. And every single time Georgia has played Alabama, even the one year they beat them, the Stetson DoorDash Bennett fumble, that resulted in a field goal or a touchdown or something. Georgia always does stupid stuff against Alabama. You can't make it up. Due to pattern recognition, that's what it is. Georgia has always made whoopsie daisies against Alabama in the past since I've been watching football, 11, 12 matchups. It's probably going to happen in this game. Would you not agree with that, Georgia fans? I think you would. But my job when making these preview and prediction videos is to make the best educated guess that I can. It's really hard to predict and preview games early in the season. I'd say for the first 5 to 6 games because we don't have a lot of information on these teams. We don't have stats. We don't have common opponents. We don't have anything to point to. But I like matchups like this because the regular season's over, guys. There's so many things you can point to, so many different things. When I look at the past 8 weeks, it is hard for me to convince myself, even though I want Alabama to win this game, that Alabama could win this game. I don't like picking teams early in the season that don't have an identity or they don't know their identity. What's scary for Alabama fans is you are heading into championship weekend and you still don't know your identity on offense. A lot of confusion there. It looks like DeBoer and Ryan Grubb are mixed between, should we just abandon the run entirely? Should we run it more? Should we do play action? Should we get the ball out of Ty Simpson's hands quicker? They don't know. They're just guessing. And when you got people guessing, that is how you get Ty Simpson fumbling the ball 5 times in his last 6 Power 4 games. I don't like picking teams I have questions on. And you know who I have a lot of questions on in this game? Alabama. I know my Alabama fans don't like to hear that, but check this out. You know how I brought up Cauchy earlier? Well, if you pick
All right.
easy, personally, I think this game's going to come down to execution, and I think the team that has been executing better will win, which has been the entire season, the Georgia Bulldogs. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. I got some good news for my Bama fans. I picked against Alabama twice this year, and in both of those games, they have won. I picked against them in the Georgia and Auburn game. We know what happened there. Some may say this is good news for Alabama. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I got Georgia in this one. Let me give you a score. We'll say Georgia, 28. Alabama, 21. 28.
Nah, like, look, listen. Yeah, I mean, Alabama, they have several injuries. Jam Miller, he's injured. And in the Alabama game, Jam Miller was healthy. Excuse me, not the Alabama game. Well, yeah, it was the Alabama game because he's playing for Alabama. But Jam Miller, he was playing well against Auburn. He was playing pretty good against Auburn until he got injured. And he may be out for the SEC championship game. Josh Cuevas, he might be out for the SEC game, SEC championship game. LT Overton, he's going to be out. One of Alabama's defensive tackles. So Alabama, they're losing some guys. And Georgia, they're pretty. I would say they're pretty healthy. And Georgia, they've been resilient all season except for that loss to Alabama and Georgia, in Athens, Georgia. But when it comes to games like Alabama and Georgia, you can't pick against Alabama. I mean, yeah, you can't pick against Alabama. You just can't. You got to pick Alabama every single time, no matter what. All right. Penn State's looking at Iowa State's head coach Matt Campbell. Okay, interesting. You know what? Actually, hopefully they'll get him. Wow. Syracuse getting their new 5-star wide receiver, Calvin Russell. Okay, cool. Okay, nothing official about the Chris Henry Jr. situation. All right. I don't know if I can show this, but I'll do it anyways. Utah Tech University player punches opponent after getting dunked on. All right, let's see. Brutal poster, and he punches him in the face. Man, just dude. This dude just can't. Oh, well. Well, it's not because he got posterized. It's because he was screaming in his face. And he just hits him. Yeah. There's just no reason to just put your hands on somebody like that. Unless he puts his hands on you, then be prepared to fight. All right, we got a little prank video or whatever this is. Okay, women hate when men simply exist. All right, rage baiting men in 2025. Man, all the guys, you know, they're just chilling, watching. Looks like Islam versus JDM. I mean, hold on. To be fair, it was. To be honest, it wasn't the most entertaining fight. And she turns it off. Like, they're just chilling, watching a UFC. Like, why? Come on. Like, we wouldn't do that to you. We wouldn't do that to you. We wouldn't turn off whatever, you know, TV show you're watching on Netflix. We wouldn't turn off I don't know, what do women watch on Netflix? Or on TV. Like, they watch reality TV shows or you know, Netflix. I don't know. Yeah, but we wouldn't turn off the TV. And I get it was a prank, but still. Just why? Why do that? Okay, I gotta end it soon. I gotta end the stream soon. Alright, but before I go, apparently this happened. Been gone for 40 days from home. Just came back and walked into this. Just got this house, smashed entire back door, took all my stuff. This crap is just a joke at this point.
It was a value like that. Looks like they were looking for. Yeah, okay, this looks exactly the same. I doubt they really touched anything. Live view's still here.
Man, smashed windows.
Came in here. I don't. It looks bad, but it's good. Yeah. I'm just noting to myself because all this I brought in from a
Oh, don't tell me they smashed the setup too. I hope they didn't smash the setup.
that was
Crazy, man. Marlon explains how his house was broken into while on stream. Longest month of my life, and I came back to my house getting broken into and robbed.
I come back. Y'all know I just got my house like a few months ago, and I haven't been home like I said. And now I find out that my house been broken into. Smashed my entire back door, like fully smashed the entire window down. Clothes all over the floor. I'm gonna show you all the videos. This video is from earlier today, but I've been on a flight, so I didn't know until I just got here. Took my PS5, stole all my shit, clothes everywhere. Yeah, fun, bro.
Man. Sad, man. Like this has to be like literally Marlon's best year, but also Marlon's worst year. Like Marlon, he blew up this year, obviously, getting a lot of viewers, a lot of subs, a lot of followers. But at the same time, all in 1 year, by the way, got jumped, lost a family member, someone broke into his house and destroyed his windows. All in 1 year. Crazy. Oh, and I think, was it this year? The whole Gorilla Glue in his eye incident. Yeah, I think it happened this year. Oh, and also his ex tried to expose him for doing whatever, some crazy stuff. Tried to expose him for doing something crazy or stupid. But yeah, it has been a crazy year for Marlon, man. Crazy. That's tough. All right. Unfortunately, I have to end it. I think tomorrow I may be off of work tomorrow. I might take the day off tomorrow because tomorrow is supposed to rain, and I'll probably stream a little early tomorrow. Probably played some games or react to some videos. But anyways, thank you to anyone who tapped in, even if it was just for like 30 seconds. Thank you for tapping in. But anyways, I'm out. Have a good night.